Hey guys, it's Baayta. Today I'm going to talk to you about what happens to your device once you, let's say, slash the screen. Like in this situation. I'm not sure if this is as clear as it should be on the screen, but my Note 3 took a really bad fall. Now, you guys have seen me a lot on XDA and I've done a lot of videos, and this device has taken through a lot of videos. So it's actually been well documented of how this device looks and actually functions over the year that I've had this device. But unfortunately, on Monday, this device took a really bad tumble off my car and I lost the S Pen, and of course I shattered my entire screen. Now, there are many options you could do and what you can and cannot do to be able to get you into a better situation, meaning replacing the device, upgrading, doing different things. I'm going to walk you through the processes of what I did to be able to get from my old device to the replacement that I was able to get. Let's check it out. There are two ways of looking at this. I'm going to give you the scenario of what do you do if you have a stock device, because not everybody has a customized ROM, rooted, and all of the bells and whistles that you'd like to get on this device. So if we go from stock, which we'll cover first, since most people will probably have a stock running device. If you're running stock non-rooted, this is very simple for you. Now, if it's a Samsung device, if it's an HTC device, if it's a Sony device, most of these devices come with companion apps that you can install on your device. Now, I don't have all of those installed on my device, on my computer. I do have Keys. That's the application that is managing, or that is given to us by Samsung to manage our devices. And one great functionality within Keys is the restore and backup functionality. Main requirement you first need to be able to do anything on your device. I do recommend, just kind of a heads up, so if I'm on the broken device, it's a broken screen, I don't have a screen protector on it, so I do run a very high chance of cutting myself. I recommend getting some type of pen with a soft felt top. Gives you the ability to interacting with the screen. That's one thing. This is going to allow us to be able to actually back up our device. Now again, this is considering the fact that the actual device is stock. You can do this in conjunction with method 2 if you have a custom recovery, if you want to save personal files off of this. But as a general rule, this is basically what you should do to back up your device if you ever need to either switch devices, either from a Samsung to a Samsung device. This is a great way of transferring your data from one to the other without having to go to the store and then giving them all your information. So we'll connect our device, we'll wait for it to sync up, and you can see I'm going to actually switch over to the screen itself. You'll see that the screen itself is starting to actually connect. It says connecting. Give it a few seconds. The lucky situation for us, at least, is that the screen on my device did not actually break anything internally. So the device boots up, you're able to get sound. The camera actually kind of works, but not the front-facing one. Functionality overall seems to be okay, but I couldn't really trust it. So once we're done here, you notice that it shows the device. It says that, you know, how much memory I have space left, files and so on. And one of the tabs in here in the middle, this is in reference to one of my other videos that I posted on XDA. If you have an update that's designated to your device, this is where you would see it under firmware information. If you don't get a pop-up saying that you're not, there is no update, then you're running on the latest firmware that your provider is giving you, outside of going into custom ROMs. Then you go into backups, and then you go backup, and you select all the different tabs and different things that you'd like to back up. My recommendation would be is to back up to anything outside of contacts, because contacts are generally backed up to your Google account. Unless you have them on your device, then I would recommend you just backing them up. Go through and back up everything on this, and once you get your new device, simple process of unplugging, you plug in the new device, and then you do a basic restore. You're able to scroll back through all the other app backups that you've done in the past. You probably want to do it right after it, so you therefore will probably look at the last one and restore all the different settings that you'd like. The beauty of it is you can also back up applications, which is functional for when you have things on your device that you don't necessarily want to uninstall and reinstall. It does not copy over the configuration files, meaning any progress, any username, passwords don't transfer. It will transfer the applications and relink it into the Google Play Store onto your new device. That was the step if you have an actual device that is stock, or if you're running a stock-like device with a custom ROM, with a custom kernel or some kind of configuration, but the majority of your configuration is really stock. So meaning when you get the new device, all you have to do is root it, flash recovery, and just restore your device information. You're practically done. I personally like that option if my device wasn't actually a customized device, and I say that by means of, obviously I had a custom recovery installed on it. I had a rooted, of course. I had different modules, exposed modules. I've done a lot of videos on those. So what my main benefit that I'm trying to walk you through today is the second option, and this requires two things. Both devices have to be rooted. We already know the first one is. The new one has to be rooted, and you also have to have the same recovery on it, so you can't have a clockwork mod to a twerp recovery on one. They both have to have twerp. They both have to have the same version of twerp. Sometimes in different versions of twerp you lose sync into which one actually can restore the other one's information. Once we identify that those two situations are correct, meaning the device outside of the actual broken situation are rooted and have a custom recovery, same custom recovery, we'll go into the next step, and we need to actually back up both devices. So you create a backup on both devices, the old and the new, a fresh backup from everything on the device. You check all the different boxes, and I'll walk you through the process now. But that's the main thing you want to make sure. You have to create the two backups, and then I'll explain to you what you need to do. Now, for the example of this actual recovery, we're going to do two things. A, we're going to actually show you guys what to do with your system. If you happen to be rooted and you have a custom recovery, you're actually in a better position to recover your data than if you were in a different position, where meaning all you had was your own private personal data on there and you were still running stock. So I'm going to give you this example, which will cover you if you had a custom recovery installed. The main thing you would want to do is actually, if you would do this obviously on the broken device, I'm just going to spare you the ordeal of looking at this. But the first thing you want to do is create a backup. You create the entire backup of your entire device, including recovery, everything. So you go to backup, you check every single box, you scroll all the way down and even down to the modem and everything. This will cover everything that's on this device from the sense of how it worked. Now, again, be it that this is your actual broken device. You create your backup, and once you're done, you can go into the restore folder and you can see that it generates a folder for you, and you actually kind of restore it if you want to, but that's not what we want to do. You would end up copying this backup from this device, and now we would end up basically putting it on the new device. Where the catch or the caveat comes in is you need to create a backup on the new device as well. So the new device has to have the same recovery, that's number one, and also has to be rooted, of course, but also make sure that it has a backup, meaning twerp has a recognized folder on the device, knowing that this is a backup folder. And once you do that situation, you're in a position where you're able to basically store things and replace files. twerp does actually have a protection situation going where it requires you to actually restore only the files from the same device to the same device. But there's a way of going around that slightly to be able to help us, because we know that the Note 3 here is the same as this Note 3. The only difference is I can't use this phone, and this is the phone I was able to get it to replace. So let's go ahead and go through the process of actually using that. And then to do so, we're going to use a new tool that allows us to be able to do file management while in the recovery. So we're going to go in here, we'll swipe to unlock, and then we're going to go install, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and we have an Aroma file manager. And I'll give you guys a link in the description below. You flash it as if you're flashing a normal ROM on your device, but once you do that, hey, voila, we now have a file manager. And you just go under your SD card, scroll down, we just need to find where twerp is, go into twerp, go into backup, and then we'll find our current backup. And what we would do is, the current backup that's on the new device, you'd replace all the files within the folder, not the folder itself, but all these little files. You replace all of these files with your old backup from the broken device. That's all you do. Once you're done with that, you go back into your recovery by going Menu, Exit, say Yes. It exits the script, sends us back, we go back home, and then when we go to say Restore, the device still recognizes the actual backup that it did create to itself. So it's a simple way to figure it out. You create a backup on both devices, the broken and the new device, and you replace the files from the old device to your new device backup folder. So as if the backup that this device did was the exact one that it did for itself. Once you do that, you're able to restore. You go in, you restore every single thing, and then once you're done, we'll go back, we'll go home, and then we'll reboot system. We've gone through that process, and at this point what will happen essentially is once you turn on your device, it will look and operate exactly as the other device, and I don't have a problem. My setup, my applications, my permissions, everything that I had on the old device is basically present on this device. And for all intents and purposes, had I gone through the situation, let's say this was somebody else's phone and I replaced it, they would have no idea that anything changed on their device. The only thing they would really benefit, or at least know what it is, if they knew the serial number off the old device, because that's the one thing we cannot obviously fix. But the intention here isn't to really clone the device to spoof somebody. It's to salvage their data and get them back up and running as fast as possible with a device that they happen to like. So please be aware of what you're doing and what it is essentially that you need to have on your device removed. Once you do that, you can also restore some of the other information as far as call logs and so on if it doesn't sync up correctly. But the way Twerp does, it literally takes an entire image, ROM, kernel, everything, modem, everything that you had on your device that made it run the way it did to the new device, and it runs exactly the same way. And again, if you're moving from the same device to the same device, not a problem. Hope you guys find this process helpful. I found this to be a little bit more concerning on my end, because what happens is I was concerned of basically interacting with the device and how was I going to replace it. I did have a lot of help and a lot of recommendations off of Google+, going off Swappa and different things to be able to get options of what you can do to be able to replace your device. And reasonably priced at Note 3 right now is not that bad. I do have a Note 4 that I do reviews on, but that's mostly for reviews. So as far as a daily driver and really my kind of go-to device, my Note 3 will carry me for a little bit longer, hopefully till I'm able to get the Nexus 6. But I still wanted to have a functioning device because I could not really do anything with this. And replacing the screen was somewhere close to about $100 as far as getting it replaced. And at that point I realized I can keep it for parts and just replace the device, and then at least, you know, keep me going. And then once I'm done, I can give it to somebody in my family and make sure that they can use it. So it could work out either way. I know it's a long one, but as usual, like and subscribe to my channel, and let me know of any other videos that I can do for you that will help you. This today was kind of a small process to explain what to do when your device screen is broken and you need to replace it with a new one, and how do you save your data.